Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movie news and reviews. I'm your host and, generally nasally protagonist, Garrett Ray. And joining me, it's the dragon of the theater, the fierce protector of all that we hold dear. It's Andy Delia.
Oof. That's the best I can do for like breathing fire.
It's a hoof.
Yeah.
It's to say the name of a horsefoot.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody.
Welcome.
If you never joined us before, first off, welcome.
We're sorry.
Yeah, that too. The thing you need to know about this show is that you have to be crazy to be on it, and even crazier to listen.
Yeah, both of us are nuts.
But yeah, basically what we'll do is we'll do a spoiler-free review of the movie up front, and then we'll jump into spoilers. There will be time codes in the bottom, and we'll let you know out loud, like, hey, spoilers are coming. And then we'll get into the news. Maybe it depends on if I can look it up while we're doing this, because I ran out of time to find it ahead of time.
We might not have much, so it's going to be me talking about a whole bunch of other movies that Garrett didn't see this week.
What an incredibly prepared show this is. Well, this week we are talking about How to Train Your Dragon. Not the animated classic that most of you know and love, but the 2025 redo that is a live-action adaptation of that original film, which itself was a adaptation of a book. So that's the whole deal. This stars Mason Thames, I believe is how it's pronounced, Nico Parker, Gabriel Howell, Julian Dennison, Bronwyn James, Harry Trevaldwin, and amazingly, Peter Serafinowicz, who I hadn't seen in anything since The Tick. And then Nick Frost, Gerard Butler, cinematography by Bill Pope, Bill Pope. Okay. Yeah, this guy did Alita Battle Angel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Shang-Chi, Boys in the Band, Baby Driver. That's where I know his name from, is he was the cinematographer for Baby Driver. Men in Black 3, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Spider-Man 3. Oh, okay, that's the other place I know him from, the Spider-Man, the 2 and 3 of Spider-Man, but not the first one. The Matrix. Same cinematographer. So
nice.
So if you know the story of the original, it's basically the same thing. But essentially, there's a bunch of Vikings living in the village of Berk, and then they are fighting a war against dragons. But then maybe someone makes friends with the dragon, and that dragon's basically just my cat. What are your thoughts, Andy?
Or the director's cat.
Just like my cat, though.
Yeah.
I mean, just. You assume that death is around the corner with them because it could be at any moment, but then they're kind of cute.
Yeah. So I've been waiting to talk about this for 3 months because I saw it in CinemaCon. And quick footnote, the reaction that Universal got from us from the first screening was enough for them to already greenlight a sequel.
Right, yeah.
Coming out the same time in 2027. And I did read over the weekend that it is going to be the same story as the second animated film.
Okay, so they're just going to make it live action.
They're just going to be Disney all over again. But I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. It's very hard for me not to like this story because your main character is kind of what's considered a weak, small, puny kid that makes friends with the ultimate what people think evil in the world at that time.
Yeah.
And proves everybody wrong and forges this alliance with like the cutest dragon ever. Right? The Toothless is awesome. Yeah. And the VFX on the dragons in this thing is just incredible. Like Disney really either don't take notes and keep doing what you're doing and keep making Snow White that people hate and box office bombs, or take notes and actually make a good movie.
Yeah.
Because they're really, even though the runtime on this is longer than the original, and not the original is about an hour 40 minutes.
Yeah.
This one's 2:05. It doesn't seem like it misses anything or adds anything from the original.
No, and I think some of the pacing, like the difference in time, does come down to what works in animation and what works in live action. And some scenes are just naturally going to be slower in live action, or they're going to feel very montagey. I think this balances that pretty well.
Mm-hmm. So. I thought so. I did like the casting. The main kid that plays Hiccup from Black Phone is really good. The girl...
Mason Thames.
Yes, I do like him. And he's in Black Phone 2 coming out this fall as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then Nico Parker, you were just mentioning, who plays Astrid.
Yes, I really like her. I just don't remember anything that she's been in beside this.
I don't think I've seen her in anything before, but she has been in Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, Suncoast, Reminiscence, which no one saw, and
including
Dumbo.
me.
That's shocking to me because I actually wanted to see Reminiscence. But
the
never
Hugh
did.
Jackman one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wanted to see that. It's on Hulu right now. I know that. So
I'll put it on the list, but I'll never get around to it.
No.
Her first thing was Dumbo, actually. So that was where
Well, that's easily forgettable.
Both the original, which is great but scared the crap out of me. I love to forget that one, and the new one that I didn't saw.
And that's probably that's honestly probably the only Tim Burton film I really don't like. Because Tim Burton did that, and just surprisingly how bad that thing was.
Well, Disney probably had their hooks in it too,
and made it a horrible mess, which is what it was.
And and then also at the same, it probably just was that he wanted to tell this like heart-wrenching, darker story, and they wanted to keep it more family friendly. And it's like, then why did you hire Tim Burton?
Yeah, but the whole thing too is Cruella did that, and they didn't seem to mess with that, and that turned out okay.
I'm definitely not blaming Disney for being consistent.
Well, yeah, that's obvious. Because Cruella's one of the ones I've never really seen the Glenn Close movies at all.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I vaguely remember the original cartoon, but Cruella was just so original to me that it was very hard for me not to enjoy that film. Like, I really liked it.
Yeah, it was. Like, I didn't hate it or anything. I just didn't care about it necessarily. And I also, like, generally, when they try to do this thing where it's like, oh, no, actually, the villains in these movies who want to kill puppies are actually just tortured souls themselves and you don't understand them. I'm like, boo! Boo! They're the villain. Boo!
Yeah, but I root for the bad guy.
See, and that is something that you and God can deal with.
Anyway, Garrett, what's your thoughts on this?
Good question. I'm teetering between good and great, and I think just on the look of the dragons, I'm going to go great. Just because from a technical standpoint, it's doing some incredible stuff. I mean, the fire and smoke simulations in this are some of the most impressive I have ever seen. Yeah, and just blew me away. Every shot I would look, and I just that's cool. Oh my gosh, that looks great.
The set location for this was perfect.
Yeah. I don't know if they were shooting on location or in a studio, but either way, I don't care.
No, it's Scotland was where a lot of this was shot at.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So
Scotland's incredible looking.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this. I didn't have the same terrible experience as watching Lilo and Stitch because they didn't change a whole bunch of stuff. And
no, they really Dreamworks really kept this as is.
I mean, there were like some very small changes to explain, like, okay, Astrid in this, the actress I believe is black, or mixed background,
mixed
or
race.
some I don't know. Oh my gosh, wait a second, she's Thandie Newton's daughter. That makes sense. Okay, yeah, because I was like, she looks really familiar. Yeah, okay. So yeah, she's Thandie Newton's daughter, and it's they kind of get around this whole like, oh, it's a more diverse cast thing by introducing this idea that it's Viking tribes from all over the world that gathered here to go after the dragons, and it's a small change and doesn't change anything about the story, but allows them to kind of have some different, different racial backgrounds.
The dragons didn't change; they were exactly the same as they were in the cartoon,
and that is the perfect thing to do.
Right,
to have that stubby little fat dragon flying with his tiny little wings going flap, 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 perfect.
My drawback to this, and after thinking about it after seeing it a second time, were the secondary kid characters. I wasn't thrilled with the casting on a lot of them, especially Rough Nut and Tough Nut.
Yeah.
Didn't care for the people that played them at all.
I'm kind of like middle. I feel like Mason Thames, who played Hiccup, was okay. I didn't think he was great. And there were some lines where I'm like, I know how Hiccup says these lines and the personality that Jay Baruchel brought to them, and he kind of sucked the life out of some of those. And there's one scene that we'll get into in spoilers that was definitely like, okay, this is acting. It's not real acting.
But Gerard Butler is stoic. Like
fantastic. brought tears to my eyes near the finale. Like really just brought a lot of emotional weight to that and made me go, holy crap, I think Gerard Butler's underrated. And I've seen Gamer, so that's saying something for me to admit that.
I've actually seen that movie too. That movie sucks.
That's so bad. But yeah, just generally, I think the kids cast is hit or miss and kind of middling. And I don't want to pick on any of them for, especially for those that are younger actors, but some of them are definitely like 25 and are not teenagers.
Nick Frost taking Craig Ferguson's role was great, though. I like Nick Frost. I always have.
I had to kind of view him as a different character, but because I like Nick Frost too. But I also was like, I still think he's not quite Gobber, but he did do the kind of the look that Gobber does when he's like, get over there, and he like nailed that. And so like I liked him. It's different a little bit from Craig Ferguson's tenure as a character, and that's fine. Like I'm not upset that he's different because he's still entertaining and has that sort of like devil may care attitude, towards the kids' safety and stuff, and that's great.
Right.
So it totally works. I don't have a problem with that. It's way better than casting Zach Galifianakis as an alien that you don't allow to ever be on screen. But yeah, the dragons look incredible. The story is intact. Yeah. I cannot say, like, I truly believe that this deserves an Academy Award for animation and visual effects. I think it's some of the best computer work that's ever been done to generate imagery.
I would agree with that.
It's so good. And the character designs are they're kind of like roughened up just a little bit from what you see in the movie, in the animated movie. So they're all a little craggier and a little more threatening looking. But that one that I can't remember the name of it, but the big one that breathes a lot of fire all over itself and crawls all over the chains in the arena, like he looks terrifying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can see when he's not covered in it and they're touching his snout and stuff, it's like, oh, he still has this softness to him.
Right.
And it's just, that is, from a character design perspective and bringing that to life in live action like this, it is a feat I cannot get over how well it was done.
The two-headed one was the one that was, I think, the most impressive.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, but beside that giant dragon too, because you don't really see it on fire a lot in the movie. But the two-headed one was the one that I was probably the most worried about how they were going to translate that, and it still looked really good.
Yeah, because they all keep the same basic shapes, but they're just a slightly more organic, except Toothless, who is basically exactly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other ones kind of get this little.
I think if they had changed that's where they would have gone wrong, and then people would have been like, "No, I'm not watching this."
Yeah, but I think they also Toothless is the only one who's a much softer shape in the original as well, so they didn't have to update that to give him that softness.
Right.
But this they had to kind of go, okay, their proportions are a little more comical, so we have to kind of adjust that a little bit for live action.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, look, I think that the performances from the main cast they're not bad. They're totally serviceable. They just weren't great, in that regard. That's the only real complaint
I just think that the people they had from the voices from the cartoon were much more likable, I think, rather than the live action people that they got to play in this.
Yeah, and it's so hard to take some of those annoying characters that really work in animation and make them work in live action.
Right, like McLovin did the voice of one of the characters in the cartoon instead of Jonah Hill, and the guy from Deadpool too.
So he's also from Hunt for the Wilder People. The guy who plays what's his name?
I've never seen Hunt
the
for
fat
the
one.
I've never seen Hunt for the Wilder People.
So it's Julian Dennison as Fish Legs Ingerman.
Okay.
Who it says here on Wikipedia, Hiccup's best friend. You do not get that idea from the movie.
No, not at all.
Bronwyn James is Rough Nut and Harry Trevaldwin is Tough Nut. They're fine, but they also I think they kind of played around with the idea that they're twins, saying that our own mother can't tell us apart, but they actually don't look alike.
They look
at all.
Nothing alike.
So I kind of laughed at that, and but it's Bronwyn James. I know has been in other stuff that I've seen her in. She was in Wicked. So she was.
What was she in Wicked?
She was a character named Shen Shen. Yeah, I don't know. She was a receptionist in Mickey 17. She's the one who's like, do you really know what you're getting into? And I think
I've already forgotten Mickey 17, to be honest.
So is everyone else.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Except some of the
really
people that work at the
that
theater
one.
here that still want to argue with me that it's a better movie than what it is.
It's too...
Well, it's too long.
It's too long, and it's too much like, we get it.
Yeah. That was probably like my biggest disappointment of the year so far.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, they're fine. Peter Serafinowicz as Spitelout Jorgensen. Okay, so what is Snotlout? So Gabriel Howell is Snotlout. Snotlout should have been given, I think, a little more to do with his dad, because they try to have this like emotional through line where they finally come together at the end. And I think some of the time that could have been cut down to try and make Fish Legs jokes sell better, like they do, where it's a little faster between the dragon and him spouting facts and stuff. Like that's a little too slow, I feel.
Yeah, but McLovin's voice for that worked a lot better in the.
Oh yeah.
I honestly, I refer to that guy. I know it's Christopher Mays Plaz. I think
something like that.
Yeah, I just cut McLovin.
Yeah. And everyone else does the same thing, and I'm sure he's sick of it. Sorry, McLovin. I think it's Mince Plaz.
Mince Plaz.
Yeah,
probably.
something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think that some of the jokes could have been sold a little bit better for Fish Legs specifically with a few editing tweaks.
I would
But that
agree.
being said, not a huge deal, and it's a fun watch.
No, like honestly, our criticism about this are kind of minor compared to the grand scheme and scope of the film. Like it's very enjoyable. It's very watchable. It's very little it differs between the animated and the live action. It's done very well.
Yeah.
You know, the costumes and the settings and everything are just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the production design is so good.
Right.
And it matches with what you expect, but also like
but bottom
isn't
line,
comically over large boots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stoic especially.
Right.
Holy crap, he looks huge.
Yeah.
A man can't be that big.
He isn't.
But they made him look like that.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just remembered how big Stoic looked. I was like, gosh, dang. That's why I'm going to the gym.
because he was one of the people that were there in Vegas, like selling this film. It was him and the director.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you look at that, and then you look at the movie and go, boy, that's great camera work.
The shoulder pads that are being used in this movie put all of the 80s to shame.
Yeah.
Because they are huge.
Yeah. But bottom line is dragons. You know, that's the reason you're going for this. That's the reason you're going to see like this film, and it's definitely well deserving of your movie dollar.
Yeah, I think so too. And any criticisms that we have, I think, are simply because we're like, oh, you're this close to stepping over the line into incredible.
Right.
Just this close, just a few little tweaks, and you'd be there. But that's a great place to be at, you know, to be at the point where it's like, oh, just tiny tweaks, and we'd be, you know, another echelon up. That's a great place to end up after the entire mess of making a movie. I mean, I was on set of a short film this weekend, and man, making movies is hard.
Yeah,
it's really freaking hard. Or, you know, it is when you really care and you're trying. So I'm sure Lilo and Stitch was easy to make.
You're not going to let that go, are you?
No, it was terrible. It hurt my soul. Sorry.
Okay.
You want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Okay, so spoilers. It's like a 1999 Civic in a street race. Spoilers abound. Good
one.
The moment that I really was like the most kind of like, okay, was when Astrid. Okay, so Hiccup has been captured by the Vikings after saving Hiccup from another dragon. They put him on a boat and they're sailing out to go to the dragon's nest. And Hiccup's upset on a hillside.
You mean Toothless?
Toothless. I'm sorry. Yes,
yeah.
Toothless. So Toothless is being taken away. Hiccup is sitting on a hillside, sad, and Astrid comes up to him. And I it's been a while since I watched the original, but I remember this conversation between him and her being this moment of connection, and also like him being upset, feeling like he was really struggling with something. Mason's performance in this scene specifically felt like, I'm louder because I'm upset, and that is the end of emotion. and it was just like, and Astrid, I think also generally, like, she's mirthless a little more in this. Like in the original, she takes it very seriously and stuff, but she also takes a lot of. It's not just I had to protect myself pride. It's also like, look at me, I'm kind of a bad girl. Woo-hoo-hoo. So she doesn't have any of that fun to her in the first part of the movie, especially. So when she comes and she has this softer side, it just feels like out of character almost for her.
Okay.
And like the specifically the lines of you're the first to ride one, though. Like that one comes across as just like a matter of fact thing instead of a hey, you need to believe that you can do this. Like it doesn't have that encouragement in it. And then when Hiccup's saying, I screw up everything, it really is just like, he's not upset at himself. He's just sounding upset.
Right. But I still love the sequence where they get Astrid to ride Toothless.
Yes.
And although I wish there was the part, and I understand why they can't because it won't translate from animation to live action, was the part where Hiccup calls Toothless a useless reptile, and Toothless smacks him in the face with his wing. Yeah. And I'm like, you can't really do that.
They did do the line.
Yeah, they did. But even then, you could kind of see, like, there wasn't much emotion behind that line either.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because, like, when I was in high school, after watching this movie, I used to be able to do Hiccup's voice like perfectly. It's really hard now because I hit puberty about 19. but he does this. He's got this certain intonation that Jay Baruchel does, where it's like, "Thanks for nothing, you useless reptile." And in this one, he's like, "Thanks for nothing, you useless reptile." And it's like, you couldn't do take two, just a little take two,
just one more.
And I know Mason needs to make this character his own. You can't just ape Jay Baruchel. Like that's not how acting works. But also, there's some little moments like there where it's like that's where you take the inspiration for developing your Hiccup from, and that's one of them. It's that one, and then just let me show you, Astrid, please. Yeah. Like, but he doesn't really have the pleading to it. Like he it's more like you don't really have a choice. So just let me show you, please. And maybe I'm being overly harsh on that, but it was one of those moments where I'm like, I know this moment, it's ingrained in my head, and so when it falls just a little bit short of that, it's like, oh.
But the good thing about it too is that they use the music from the original one as well.
So good. Yeah. I've been whistling it. I actually got up and started playing it through my speakers in the house just to. Yeah. It makes doing the dishes feel much more epic. I tell you what.
That's cool.
I've started to really get into listening to soundtracks while I'm doing stuff. It's just like, there's no words to distract you, and you just have that like orchestra sound. It's so good. I love it.
I still think the final dragon from the nest that they have to battle is bigger than the one in the original.
Dude, I'm pretty sure it is. It's huge.
Yeah, because me and my family watched the original one the night before.
Oh, you did?
Cool. So we had a little bit more frame of reference, and that's kind of why I felt the second time like the secondary kid characters were not as good as like what they were done in the cartoon.
And I know Drew said that he felt like this one was funnier than the animated one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well,
I think
it's true.
The original one was funnier.
This is coming from a kid that liked Garfield the movie. So
well, but if he thought it was funnier, I'm interested to see people's discussion about this as time goes on.
And then there's my
about,
daughter
like,
that felt the cartoon was better.
Okay, yeah.
So, but Isis is a little more cynical, I think, when it comes to things. Like, it definitely comes out.
Yeah. Because you guys went back and rewatched the original Lilo and Stitch after the live-action one, right? And did Isis change her mind on which one she liked more? No? She still likes the live-action one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, which means she's not right all the time.
None of us are, except for me. But
speak for yourself.
And you. We're both right about our own stuff, But yeah, it's just little things, but all of that just gets kind of washed away by the spectacle of what they were able to do with the animation. And visual effects is something that the more I learn about it, the more terrified of it I am, because there's so much that goes into it. And just that shot where Hiccup is falling into the fire and Toothless is coming after him, and as he's beating his wings, there's this swirl of stuff that's going on with the smoke and the fire around him. The amount of computing power it took to render that shot absolutely could have given enough electricity for an entire village in South Africa for a year.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. It's the artistry that goes into setting up the fluid simulation, knowing the density of the smoke you're trying to create, iterating on that as you go through it. There's so much work that goes into making that moment happen, and they're doing it throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty impressive.
I can't get over the artistry of it because it's not just, our computers can do more now. It's the computers can do more now, so we've had to learn a whole new 10 new skill sets to work with what the computer can do now, because those weren't even options we considered before, in order to create this physically accurate simulation and then implement that in compositing in a way where it feels right. It's so hard.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, man, if I could shake the hand and kiss the feet of everyone who worked on the animation in this, I would do one of those things. The handshaking. I don't think I actually want to kiss anybody's feet. I know we're on the internet, but we're not on that part of the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stoic really, I think, is the
Gerard
standout
Butler really
performance.
sells that character.
It is fantastic.
And he's one of the producers on this film, too.
I saw that, yeah.
Along with the original director, who directed this one as well.
Yeah, so the original was directed by Dean DuBois, who is the director of this one, and Chris Sanders? Or I can never remember what the other Chris's name is.
Yeah.
Chris Sanders. Wait, what's wrong with Chris Sanders?
Nothing. Lilo and Stitch, that's what's wrong.
He wasn't involved. He was just the voice of the remake. It's not his fault. I think that he has a lot of respect for the work that they did before. They do add in this shaman, soothsayer sort of character who reads bones and stuff. I don't think that was in the original.
The old woman?
Yeah.
She is.
Oh, she is. I just completely forgot about her.
She's kept to more of a minimum in the original one than she is in this one. She's a little bit more prominent.
Yeah, but still never says a single word.
No, I think it's to kind of fill in some of the gaps they couldn't do with the animation.
Okay, I need to go rewatch the animated one so I can compare and contrast, because I think this is a great example of doing a live action version of something and having respect for the source material, but still trying to push it to what are the strengths of live action. I think it does do that pretty well, except for, like we said, some of the performance moments. And as much as I've picked on Hiccup, he's not bad all the time. There's just a few moments where I'm like, and this is acting, So anyway, but yeah, so Chris Sanders and Dean DuBois were the director of the animated film. This time, Chris Sanders is not a part of this one. So not sure why. Maybe it's because he was working on Lilo and Stitch.
Dean DuBois just took over and it's like, I'm going to do this and leave me alone.
Did a good job.
Yeah.
Boy, was How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, was that the third one? I think it was the third one. Yeah. Why didn't they call it How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World? Because How to Train Your Dragon 2 has a number. I hate when they do that. It's so confusing. It's like, is this a spinoff? Is this I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't know. Is there anything else to really talk about in depth with this one? Because it's
I don't think so.
There's not a lot to spoil. There's not, because the original, everyone pretty much knows the story at this point.
I mean, if you haven't, then go back and watch the original.
Definitely. I think they're both worth watching.
I think it's funny in our computer system for the digital projections that it's labeled How to Train Your Dragon then V.2.
Really?
Yeah.
Calling it version 2?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I figured you would get a kick out of that.
I love that because, on the server back at DreamWorks headquarters, it's like How to Train Your Dragon V2.1.7.103.4 final. Really, this time export.
I guess that's the guys that are transporting it over the satellite system don't get it mixed up with the original one.
I guess that. Why not just put 2025 on it though?
Yeah.
Like why beat?
We had a lot of problems with that when I worked for AMC with Wonder Woman, and then because they re-released the original one right before the 1984 one came out. Yeah. And then both of them were still in our system, and there wasn't much differentiating between the two. So we got a lot of like shows screwed up it was the original one, not the 19. But after a while, I was like, the original one's better. You don't need to see 1984 because I hated it.
Dude, it was bad. It was so. And I remember researching why it became so bad, and the answer essentially came down to the people who knew what they were doing left the project. Because everyone was so, like, they were just gung-ho about, not Kathleen Kennedy, but what's the director of those movies?
The woman.
What is her name?
I can't think of it.
Sorry. But she
got booted out of a job because
Star Wars was like never mind.
As soon as number two's grosses were in for that opening weekend, like they canned the third installment of that.
They canned the third one, and she lost her Star Wars series that she was going to be working on. So she like and look, to do that after one failed movie is kind of ridiculous, especially considering she'd done The Hurt Locker and she'd done one. Like obviously she makes stuff that people like. This was one hiccup.
Wait, Catherine Bigelow?
Catherine Bigelow, yeah.
She did?
I'm pretty sure.
No.
Hold on.
No, I think you're wrong on that.
Patty Jenkins. That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Catherine Bigelow is a good director.
Yeah, Patty Jenkins did. I think she just looks like Catherine Bigelow in my mind.
Probably. I still think, like, Catherine Bigelow is one of her unsung movies.
It was Monster. That's the one she did.
Yeah, Monster's really good.
And then she did a movie called Pool Man in 2023 that stars Chris Pine.
Chris Pine, the one that everybody hates.
Is it bad?
It's supposed to be like one of the worst films ever made. Like it's supposed to be really.
When we start this spin-off show where we go watch terrible things, we're watching Pool Man.
Yeah, Chris Pine got a lot because I guess he put up a lot of the money for that.
Yeah,
and it's supposed to be really god awful.
Man, sometimes that pays off, and then other times you're Chris Pine.
But no, one of the hidden gems of Catherine Bigelow is a movie called Strange Days, and I still love it to this day. I love like cyberpunk films, and it definitely falls into that. And it's supposed to be like the last week of 1999 going into the year 2000. And there's, unlike Horizons that had several stories that they never meshed and came together and made sense, this one, it was several different stories that made sense that all came together cohesively and just made like this really cool, gritty cyberpunk underground film that like James Cameron's Lightstorm Productions was behind it.
Oh, really?
It was kind of a big film, but it flopped horribly. Like, I just don't think people got it, or it hit too close to home because there was a whole thing about cops killing people and being covered up by the city government. And then like there's a device that you put on your head that can simulate like if you don't have legs, like what it's like to walk on a beach. And there was like clips and things like that. And the one girl has a clip of a predominant rap artist being murdered by the police. And it's kind of covering that whole thing up, and music producers are involved because they can't let that out because his back catalog is selling really well. So like I said, it's all these different stories that are kind of crazy, but they all make sense when it comes to the end. And Angela Bassett's in it. Ralph Fiennes is in it.
Oh, really? They're both great.
Yeah. So it's one of those films that got lost in the shuffle over the years.
It's called Strange Days, you said?
Yeah. And it was on Max for a while because I watched it again because I hadn't seen it in so long. And I still love that film as much as I did when I saw it in the theater.
I'll need to put it on the list.
Yeah,
Hold on. Let me type it down.
It's a dark, interesting film. It really is. And needs kind of a little bit more respect than it got.
Well, it's going to get some respect in my house in about 16 years. I'll finally get around to watching it. Oh, goodness. I got to go back and listen to some episodes where I didn't actually write it down in the moment and just like go, what did he say we need to watch? I'm go doing those.
Bubba Hotep's got to be high on our good bad movie thing. Because I told Jessica about it the one day recently, and she's like, "You actually spent time watching this?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a great movie." She's like, "Why is it that I find that hard to believe?" And I was like, "Yeah, well," she's like, "No wonder Drew likes bad movies."
Well, she had a rough weekend with you seeing movies, didn't she?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on from How to Train Your Dragon. Let's go into Andy's special corner, which sounds like I'm punishing you for something. But anyway, let's go into Andy's special corner, the name I've just come up with. And Andy got to see some movies that I didn't this week, along with a movie that we're going to have to cover next week because I was going to watch it but didn't get a chance to.
So first is a movie called The Life of Chuck with Tom Hiddleston, directed by Mike Flanagan. I think I'm getting that right. The guy that made Dr. Sleep.
That is correct.
And
The Haunting of Hill House or something. Yeah.
And Stephen King was actually the executive producer on it. It's based on one of his short stories. It's not horror related. So it's an interesting film, and I really liked it and appreciated it. But it's the life of a man, not just a general, ordinary, everyday guy. And it's told backwards. And it's told in an interesting way that I had not seen before. I thought it was a little more original than what people are giving it credit for, because it starts off with like his last days. But even that's done a little bit differently. Like it looks like it's the end of the world. But generally, all it is the guy's dying, which you don't figure out until later in the film.
Okay.
And then the second part is like when he's in his 30s, and there's a great sequence. I really want to know. I think Mandy Moore was the choreographer on it. Oh. And it's a scene in like a town square where a girl is just playing drums to just get money. And he comes in and dances and grabs a girl that had just broken up with her boyfriend. And they dance around the square and they change tempos and beats. And looking to see how that was filmed, I thought was just really cool and how it comes off. And then the last part.
Mike Flanagan is known for figuring out a complicated way to shoot a simple thing.
Right. So it's right. I mean, the scene there's not much to it, but just the way that it looks and how it's presented was just mesmerizing to me.
Yeah. And that's the art of filmmaking. Taking a mundane moment and making it engrossing is just.
And then the first part of the film, when he was younger and his parents die and he's living with his grandparents, and Mark Hamill plays his grandfather, I think, just superbly.
Oh,
he's really good.
Which is surprising because he's real bad in Star Wars. Like, we love him, but he's bad.
And, the whole thing is he's kind of an alcoholic. He's an old bookkeeper, and he's living with this kid. And the grandmother is actually Mia Sara that hasn't been in a movie in over 15 years.
Wow.
She was the girlfriend in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you ever, you probably haven't seen that.
I actually have.
You have, okay.
I have.
And
I thought it was fine.
And she's also in Time Cop. She was Jean-Claude Van Damme's wife, and she's in this, and it's really cool. And I think the reason I connect a lot for the film, it reminds me of when my mother was alive and she played music in the kitchen and we cooked, and the kind of got my love for cooking and my love for music as well was from my mother, definitely. And listening to Wang Chung's Dance Hall Days and kind of tapping on the pot and like waving your fingers and how that kind of carried off in his life. So seeing these three interwoven stories of a person's life, but in reverse, I think it was really, really good.
Cool.
I loved it. My Jessica, not so much.
Why didn't she like it?
I just thought she said it was okay. She didn't hate it. She thought it was okay. She just thought it was kind of there. I don't think she had the connection with it that I did. And that's probably why she didn't like it as much as I did.
It's just one of those stories that resonates with a certain chord for you.
I think so.
It's good, but may not be everyone has that same experience to pull from, sort of thing. Okay. Yeah.
But I still think it's worth your time. It's probably not going to be in theaters long. It was our dead last movie here at Grand Avenue.
Yeah.
And next week it's already getting cut down on shows to make way for Megan 2.0, I think.
As it should. No, just kidding.
So when it comes on stream, like Neon put it out, I give them a lot of credit for doing this movie, just because it's, I think, a little bit different than what Neon puts out. It's not a horror film. It's not of something that's over the top and bombastic.
Right.
But Neon's really good at that kind of stuff. And this one is just a little more subtler, I think, than a lot of the other stuff I did. And it's definitely...
It sounds really interesting.
I think it's worth your time.
Yeah, I think I'm interested in seeing this because like I like movies that are kind of like slice of life. You know, like we enjoyed Here, even though it's you know, maybe not the world's best movie or whatever. It's so interesting, right? And just kind of like, there's a lot. So
this is kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
just not on as the grand scale as Here was with everything going on around it. It's just one person's life.
Okay, yeah,
and Tom Hiddleston's really good in it. He's not in it much, to be honest.
Isn't he Chuck?
Yeah.
Where's he at most of the time?
Most of it is the last part of it with Mark Hamill and Mia Sara and him as a little boy, and him being part of a dance club in middle school, which is really cool too, because it's like a Back to the Future dance that they end up being at. And the whole thing about being nervous and not wanting to dance with like the popular girl, even though she's part of this club, and they have this whole routine worked out. And it's, like I said, I just think it's really endearing.
Okay, yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed it.
All right. Sweet. So a Stephen King movie that's not scary, which might be the most frightening thing I've ever heard.
So I would say this is a great.
Sweet. All right. Cool.
So that's cool. Where I land on that. The other thing the only reason I got to see is because it was Father's Day yesterday, and Jessica was like, "Well, you can go see any movie you want." Okay.
Sucked in, Jessica.
So I picked The Phoenician Scheme. I've been wanting to see this, and it didn't do all that well. But meanwhile, this is probably the best film that Wes Anderson has done.
Really?
I like Wes Anderson as a filmmaker, just from his dry, bizarre, quirky sense of humor that is injected into every one of these films that he does. And it's better than the last film that he did. Like I like the last film he did, which was Asteroid City, just because it's odd. And and the characters in that are just really weird.
Definitely all the clips I've seen, it's like this is a very weird style of acting, but it fits perfectly with the Wes Anderson weirdness.
Right. And there's only, I think, one Wes Anderson film that I don't care for, and that's The Royal Tenenbaums. And I might I saw it when I was much younger, and I think with now being a dad and having kids of my own, I might appreciate it more seeing it now than I did when I saw it when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I definitely like Isle of Dogs, The Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is so good.
I love The Life Aquatic, even though most people I run into go, well, that's the one I hate the most. And I was like, no, that's the one I actually like the most. And so The Phoenician Scheme, the story to it is Benicio del Toro is a shrewd businessman that has a plan in the country of Phoenicia to put a train, a dam, and having a water accessible port. Okay. So he has investors all lined up for each part of this venture called the Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah.
And the government is out to destroy this guy. So what they do is they manipulate the price of rivets to the point that he's going to go bankrupt if he doesn't go around to these other investors that he has for this project and renegotiate with them.
Jeez.
And of course, some of the investors are Jeffrey Wright, Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston.
The usual suspects.
And, right. Yeah. Almost everybody that's in one of Wes Anderson's films. And he's, along with his daughter, who he pulled out of a convent to give him like his inheritance to be with him. And Michael Cera is supposed to be a teacher or tutor that has a plot twist there to who he actually is. Okay. And it just goes along as a normal Wes Anderson film. And the first part of it, when he's like explaining the whole Phoenician Scheme to his daughter, that everything is in shoe boxes on the floor, and well, this box represents this and this box represents this. And then he has like 8 boys that he's fathered that are off living next door in like a tenement. And one of them has gotten really good with a crossbow. So every once in a while you see this arrow shoot right down one of the the shoe boxes, and I think it's hilarious. But if you don't like Wes Anderson, it's hard to recommend this film.
Sure.
But if you like his quirky sense of humor and what he comes up with, and this is probably the most digestible film that he's done since Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay, yeah.
And it's definitely one of the best.
Because I really like the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay, so you would probably like this. Yeah. But it's just so, like, off the wall.
Yeah.
And how it ends is even more crazy.
Sweet. I love that.
The
fact that the Grand Budapest Hotel, I don't know if it ends with it, but that whole skiing or like sledding scene when they're trying to get away and stuff, like all of that is so much fun and so it's so tactile because of the way he shoots. You know, like it's not so this animated. It's not Red One.
Right. No, and I love how Wes Anderson makes use of like everything is shot in a box.
Yeah.
Or like it's framed in flat ratio.
Very inspired by classic paintings and stuff like that.
But all parts of the frame are used. Mm-hmm. And you see people exit from doors and stuff like in and out of the frame just like they would in a painting or how they would look that way. Yeah. And I just really appreciate that kind of filmmaking.
Yeah. I think that I think that Wes Anderson and Steven Spielberg, although their styles are different, are both masters of blocking.
Yeah,
it is a real skill set to be able to keep people moving throughout the frame and keep it interesting without it just being like a billion cuts. Right. Like there's this one scene in Schindler's List where Schindler is talking to, is it Schindler or is it Ray Fiennes? I can't remember. One of the characters is talking to. I almost called him Gandhi because he played Gandhi.
Oh, Ben Kingsley. So that would be Schindler.
Yeah. So Schindler's talking to Ben Kingsley, and there's this shot that kind of like it seldom moves back and forth on this dolly back and left and right. But the characters are moving. The way Schindler's walking around and the way that they adjust, the height difference between them throughout with just the blocking is so good.
Yeah.
And it establishes the power dynamic between them. And it's such a well done thing. And Wes Anderson as well, like, his 2D vision of something and figuring out how to block people so that it has this depth to it even when it's deep focus.
Right.
And everything's in focus, which would make it feel flatter. It's so well done, and I'm really interested to see the Phoenician Scheme. And
there's like people keep trying to kill Benicio del Toro throughout the entire film too, which is even funnier.
Yeah, in the trailer where he's like, "There's a bomb, and how much time is left on it? 10 minutes? Oh, that's fine."
Yeah, because we land in 8.
Because we landed 8. Yeah,
and then he has a box of hand grenades that he carries around with him and go, "Have a hand grenade."
All right, that sold me. I got to see it.
And then Benedict Cumberbatch has a role in it close to the end of the film. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And his character is just crazy.
Sweet. Yeah.
So this is not. I think it's great. It's definitely one of the best things he's done. And it's not long. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes.
Okay.
It doesn't seem that long either. That movie moves really fast. Or it did to me.
That is very much a Wes Anderson
because
thing.
I was sitting there laughing most of the time that I probably need to see it again to see what I missed.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is great about his films too. But yeah, it's definitely worth seeing. I really, really, even though I had to sit through Cinemark's half hour of ad pack, which is just annoying.
Just get there late. Who cares?
We didn't. We were early.
Oh, no. Hi, I'm Alicia Menudo, or whatever her name is.
Maria Menounos.
Maria Menounos, whatever.
Yeah, at least we don't have her in our pre-show here.
Every time I see her on screen, I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Well, at one point, I remember her from Howard Stern because she was the most downloadable woman on the internet like 20 years ago.
And what I remember is from 20 years ago is you wouldn't download a car. You wouldn't download a Menudo.
So then, do we want to talk about the Internet Movie of the Week?
No, so we're going to talk about that next week. If you want to catch up with us, everybody, catch up with me catching up with Andy. I'm going to watch The Predator, Killer of Killers.
Oh.
So we're gonna discuss that next week. We wanted to discuss it this week, but as usual, I failed. So
let's see how he does this week with watching 28 Days and 28 Weeks Later.
Yes, I got to lock in because I got
that's
2 days.
That's going to be our movie this week.
Yeah, I got 2 days.
28 years later.
Well, no, I got 3 days, but I also have 2 days of filming back to back starting tomorrow. So
the
have
good
1
news
day,
is
basically.
neither of those films are really long. They're about an hour 40 each, too.
Sweet, I can totally manage that.
Yeah.
Who needs to sleep anyway? Not me.
And then I guess the Netflix thing that I saw that I have to, I was talking
you need to talk
about
this.
Yeah. So Jessica and I watched this absolutely insane true story. Well, there's two things that we watched on Netflix this weekend. One is Titan, about the guy that created the carbon fiber submersible.
Oh, yeah.
That imploded. Not to give any spoilers away on this one, but the guy died.
I think most people know.
And just how much of a narcissist this guy was, that he fired like 4 different groups of engineers because they all told him this isn't going to work.
Yeah, you'll die.
Right.
Get out of here.
And sure enough, the last voyage of this thing, boom, it imploded just like they said it would.
Yep, because he went deeper than they'd ever gone before, too, right?
Right.
On the last journey. Yeah.
So then the other thing that we watched is a limited series, and it's 3 episodes, and they're about 40 minutes each, is Cocaine Air. This thing is so incredibly off the wall and goofy, there's no way it's not true. So the story to this is at one point there were 4 pilots that were detained in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, for having 680 kilos on their plane. And it was a private plane, and it was in 27 suitcases. And they're arrested by the Dominican government. They have to spend 2 years in jail before it even gets to trial. And I'll never forget when they first go into the prison, the one guy looks at the other one and goes, "We're dead. Yeah. There's no way we're going to survive to get to trial to this." They get to trial, they're convicted, and then they're sentenced to 20 years house arrest in the Dominican, which generally means they're sitting in a hotel room on a beach for 20 years. And then the French Parliament devises a plan, or it's not the European Parliament, sorry, to get them out of the country, get them back to France. And as soon as they get back to France, they're arrested for international drug smuggling. And they're convicted again, and then they're acquitted the next day.
I gotta know how all that plays out, because that's insane.
Right.
Why?
And once you watch the first episode, I defy you not to watch the second 2, because there's no way you like literally your morbid sense of curiosity will play into this and go, I have to see how this ends. Jessica and I were almost late to see Life of Chuck because I had to see how this thing ended.
Well, and I also love anything that just is kind of inconvenient for the French. That's hilarious to me.
So
I watched, not this week, but a couple weeks ago, my wife and I watched a series on Netflix called Wild Wild Country, and it is about a cult leader, essentially. And
wait till Jessica finds out about this.
Man, Wild Wild Country, it's a crazy thing. This guy, he believes he's creating a new man, he says, through capitalism and spirituality, and if we're being quite honest, a lot of orgies. And and that they all are required to wear the same color. They buy a piece of land in Oregon, I think, and take over a small town in Middle America, and then everything hits the fan. It's a crazy story.
Ooh.
It's 6 episodes, and it has some people who. The people who are in the center of this being interviewed, not just the townspeople who were worried about losing antelope, but the people who took over. and seeing the insanity of these people is fascinating and depressing. It's really good though. It's called Wild Country.
My wife loves anything about cults.
Yeah, it definitely was one. Because, cults generally, even if they're mostly harmless, there is a lot of promiscuity. And so I think this one classifies because they could hear across the mountains things happening.
Well, the Vow was one of the craziest ones I had watched, too, about the NXIVM cult.
Yeah, NXIVM's crazy.
I didn't watch the second part of it because at that point, like, everything that was in that second part was all in the news that I had watched.
Right, yeah.
So I figured there really wasn't much point in watching it.
Yeah, it's finding out what happened before that's really the hook. But
yeah, like the brandings and all this other crazy stuff that was
insane.
And for some degree, I really want to feel sorry for people that buy into this, because I believe it. If you feel that your life is void and there's nothing in it, and you really need something to inspire and lift you, find Jesus, not like the cult.
Well, and that's the thing is like the cults. Everyone is trying to find something to fill that hole,
and they exploit it though. That's the problem.
It gets exploited by wicked men and wicked women. Like I'm using men as like humanity, but it is absolutely true that it is easy to find something that you think fills a hole because it creates a positive environment around you, and to ignore all the red flags that fly up but I've never been this happy. And happiness is not the same as peace, Having a good time is not the same as being well, but it's so easy to confuse the two, and that's essentially where sin comes in and gets a hold of our lives. Is this thing of like, well, this might be bad, but it feels really good, so all right, I'm in, and so yeah, but it's so. It's sad to me so many times when I see these things because I'm like, I know exactly what you're searching for, and you're just a little bit off, And it's not just I'm going to create a new man, and this man is a capitalist who has a lot of woohoos and wears orange, Like, okay, that's one, but then there's also like keep sweet, pray and obey. This the fundamentalists. It was like this offshoot of Mormonism, I think. But it just ended up being a bunch of men in that community abusing their power as quote unquote leaders in the church to victimize women, and it was awful. And it's just like, if you know Jesus, you can suss this stuff out. If you read the Bible for yourself, you can find and be like, oh, wait, hold on a second. You're not supposed to have 30 wives, and that's not how it works.
Far be it from, I'm not trying to push my religion on anybody. No. Whatever works for you is good. But when you buy into these things that are questionable, and like I said, I understand how people fall into this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then it's hard for me to feel sorry for them when you see the red flags and you keep going anyway.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like,
The sunk cost fallacy is an insane drug. It really gets you good. It really, really does. I mean, we're a year into this with no money, and we're still doing it.
Yeah, but we're not a cult. At least I hope not.
I mean, I don't know. So far, we haven't decided to wear the same color every day.
The cult of bad movies, I guess. That's my son.
Maybe that's what we'll call our spinoff show when we go watch terrible stuff.
Ooh, that's a good. I actually like that. So, do we have any news this week, or was it just me rambling on?
I found some news. So
okay.
let's talk about news for a little bit. Cool. Get everyone caught up. So, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow has had a title change. James Gunn has confirmed this. It's just called Supergirl now.
Just like it was with the Helen. The one in the 80s.
Yeah.
That was a bad movie too. Faye Dunaway was the bad guy in that.
Because Superman also dropped its subtitle. It was Superman Legacy, and now it's just Superman. And then this one was Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Now it's just Supergirl. And I think that's fine.
Who's cast as Supergirl? Do you know?
So her name is, oh goodness, I know her name. Millie Alcock, who was in House of the Dragon, and she's been in some stuff recently.
I haven't watched House of the Dragon.
I haven't either, but she's an Australian actress who has been in a movie called The School, and then Supergirl, but she's been in Sirens, House of the Dragon, Reckoning, The Gloaming. So like she's been doing stuff since 2014 on TV.
Okay. So this will probably be her biggest thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, by a long stretch, I think. But yeah, House of the Dragon, I know people really, really liked her performance in that. So
I've never even seen Game of Thrones.
I haven't either. And maybe this is proof that we'll never actually start a cult. I know HBA coined the term sex position for Game of Thrones, and I walked in once and people were going crazy about the show. It was like the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And I walked in on an episode and they were explaining battle tactics or something, and there was just people having sex in the background. I was like, this seems unnecessary. And then I walked out and never thought about watching another episode. It's just like, why is that happening? And it is literally, they did it because sex sells. That's the only reason.
Okay.
And I just was like, well, that's kind of exploitative and gross. So
yeah, but there was like my favorite HBO series of all time is The Sopranos, and there was sex in that, but
yeah, but Game of Thrones, it's like we're in the middle of a battlefield. Throw in some people with boobies. Like that's the mindset.
like the main character, Tony Soprano, ran a strip club named Bada Bing. So
Bada Bing. Well, you don't get the Bada Boom?
Well,
and what is the
you
difference?
had to pay for the Bada Boom.
Oh, I see. Can I get the Bada Boom package? Bada Bing, Bada Boom.
And the Gabagoo to go along with it.
I wanted to know what that's a euphemism for.
Not going there.
So Top Gun 3. Let's
Yeah.
go there instead.
Okay.
Top Gun 3, apparently, Joseph Kosinski revealed that screenwriter Aaron Kruger is hard at work on a script for it. He said, it's a big idea that I spent almost a year developing, working with some friends at the Navy and Lockheed. And yeah, Aaron's into it now, so we'll see how it comes along. He went on to tease the idea for the sequel is so ambitious that he couldn't turn it down. It was about coming up with an idea that, again, felt like a new challenge, something that opens up the story in a way you just can't let go. And I think the idea is so ambitious. That's what's exciting to me. So
is this going to be the death of Tom Cruise? Hopefully.
I mean, you know, the babies would like to retain their blood. So I think they probably would agree with you. Allegedly.
It's at some point he's going to be too old to be doing this, just like Harrison Ford with Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when Tom Cruise will bow out, because at a certain point you have to accept that you are a little too old to keep doing this and you need to start doing something else.
Yeah, just not the Mummy Part 2.
The movie was bad.
I never saw it.
It was bad.
I have no doubt. It looked bad.
When we get to our cult of bad movies, that's probably already taken. We'll have to look into that. But
okay.
James Gunn says that Matt Reeves is taking his time with the Batman Part 2 and urges fans to, quote, as the kids say, let him cook. I
thought he was going to say sit back and chill.
Sit back and no, I think chill is old now. I think we're past that. Something like that.
Well, I'm old, so that makes sense.
I mean, chill pill was like the 90s, right? So
yeah.
So speaking with Rolling Stone, Gunn cautioned fans to chill the F out. Okay, he didn't say it exactly like that, but that's the vibe I'm getting, says this reporter from Joe Blow News. Says, God, people are so mean. Let him do his thing, man. The Batman Part 2 is not canceled. That's the other thing I hear all the time. The Batman Part 2 is canceled. It's not canceled. We don't have a script. Matt's slow. Let him take his time. Let him do what he's doing. Matt's slow. He's calling him out for being slow.
Okay, but the problem is if you wait too long between sequels, you could potentially lose audience and box office dollars.
Oh, absolutely. But at the same time, I think that the Batman was such a, art film.
Yeah, but it's one of the most polarizing superhero films that I talked to people about, because there are people that really like that film, such as myself.
Yeah, I love it.
And you. And then there's people that I talked to, like I was working in another theater at the time, and the employee screening was super split. Like there were people that absolutely hated it.
Really?
And I was like, well, did you ever read the comic books, especially like some of the original ones?
Yeah.
They're more of a detective, like Pulp Fiction kind of thing, than they are a comic book character. So it's going to be darker. It's going to be a little bit seedier. And Matt Reeves did such a great job with that last one. If he comes out with the same thing that he did with the last one, he can take forever. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. and I think that this Batman is it's like an Elseworlds Batman. It's not part of their main strategy with DC films.
Right.
So it's. Gunn said that I would never say the chance is zero that he comes into our main continuity, but it's not likely. It's not likely at all. So this is not. They're going to have other Batman stuff. I don't think they're banking on this being a cash cow for them in the same way that they are for like Superman, but they are allowing this other thing to happen to satisfy the Batman fans who want the detective instead of the battler.
I wonder what's going on with Nightwing, because I know that's another one that's been in development, and it was actually even on the release schedule for this summer.
Oh, it was?
And nobody ever saw a trailer or anything for it.
Maybe they weren't. They were gonna. It was like connected to Batgirl, and after they canned that to get a tax break, they just were like, Nightwing could go too.
But Pattinson is actually really good in that role too.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to like him a lot more now that there's no more Twilight. Or at least I hope not.
I don't think he'll ever involve himself with it again.
Thank God.
For sure.
He's
Unless it's as a
man,
joke on like a Saturday Night Live skit. But that would be funny.
That would be.
Yeah, to have him be like, I sparkle. It's not because I'm a vampire. I'm just really, really gay. It's something like that. I don't know.
There is that movie that came out, Vampires Suck.
I saw that.
Makes fun of that.
I saw that in cinemas.
It's actually, it's not that. It's one of the better spoofs.
Yeah, they're all really bad, but that one's all right.
Speaking of spoofs, Garrett and I, right before we came on mic, like actually watched the latest trailer for The Naked Gun. And both of us were just laughing hysterically.
It has reinvigorated me because I wasn't sure after the whole like I'm going to ruin another suit joke. I was like, oh no! But now seeing the rest, I'm like, nah, I'm in. I'm totally in. I think this would be fun.
We're just questioning what the rating on this thing is going to be.
I'm betting R just because of it's Akiva Schaffer, and Popstar Never Stop Never Stopping is R. I'm pretty sure Hot Rod was R.
No, that was PG.
It PG-13? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I take back what I said. Maybe it'll be PG-13, but they're gonna push it.
Paramount's gonna make those cuts as deep as they can to get a PG-13 rating. I could almost guarantee that.
Yeah.
Because they want a wide release on this thing, and they're going up against bad guys too.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going PG-13 then.
Yeah.
What I really hope they do is that they just bleep words, because to me,
kind of like Beetlejuice did.
Yes, a bleep in a movie is hilarious to me. It's so funny, and I just hope that that's how they get around it. They're just like, all right, we'll do it, but this is how you're going to deal with it. Oh, goodness. So Dan Trachtenberg, he has another Predator idea he's eager to work on, apparently. He said, after Prey came out, I started thinking about sequel stuff. There were 3 ideas that I had. Killers is 1, Badlands is 2, and the third one is something else. The reason why I felt possessed to make them, and sort of why I rushed, I did 2 at once because I could multitask with the animation, was because I was so eager to get to the third thing. So there's a lot of cool ideas out there. None of them are just like, oh, we have to say the next part of the story because it was successful. All of this is like, whoa, no one has done that in sci-fi. No one has done that in Predator. No one's done that with the creatures. All of these ideas are generated from that instinct. So yeah, there's definitely a third thing that I'd love to go to when Badlands is finished.
Wait till you see the animation on
I'm so excited for that. I'm so mad I haven't gotten to watch it yet.
It's just mind-blowing.
I was just busy creating cinema instead of enjoying it this weekend.
Okay.
I got sunburnt.
The stories to it are really good. You're not going to be disappointed.
Okay, sweet. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
Are you excited for this? Glenn Close is joining Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't care either. The original 1977 cut of Star Wars was screened for the first time in nearly 50 years.
Nice.
Han did shoot first. Can confirm.
They had a workable print that wouldn't disintegrate through a projector?
Okay, so basically, there has been many efforts to do a restoration of what you would have seen in theaters. If you're interested in this at all, there's documentaries on YouTube about these teams who have created multiple different versions of what they assume is the closest.
And the
there's
American
like the blue
Film
cut and
Institute has
stuff.
been behind that too. They've been very active.
Yes, yeah, but it has mostly been like crowdsourced material, which is incredible. But the British Film Institute Film on Film Festival in London had a print of the original cut.
Wow.
And it didn't fall apart. And so to set up the event, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy showed up and said, I'm here to make sure you don't think this is an illegal screening, which is probably the best thing she's ever done.
It's the only thing she's ever done.
Yeah. No, that's not true. She ruined Finn's character. She definitely was in charge of that.
Well, I really can't say that. Like, she was executive producer on a lot of Spielberg stuff that was good.
Yeah, but George Lucas and Spielberg were there to stop her from ruining it. Anyway,
smart men.
But yeah, it was actually seen in what it originally was form with the different lightsaber effects and the original, none of the extra shots, none of that.
And like the petroleum jelly on the lens.
Yes.
Under the Luke's vehicle.
Yeah, his land speeder.
Yeah.
Mirrors and petroleum jelly. That's how they did that. And it looks great.
Yeah.
It looks good. Anyway. So touching on the significance of the original print of Star Wars, which had been stored in a temperature-controlled environment, so that's how it was like preserved.
That's part of it.
It was being shown. Kennedy noted, "It's incredible folklore. Even when I came into the company, there was endless conversation about where everything was and what was in fact the first print. And it's quite remarkable. What you're going to see is in fact the first print. I'm not even sure there's another one quite like it. It's that rare. There's so much tinkering that's gone on over the years and things that George Lucas decided, I'm going to change this, I'm going to try that." And then everybody kind of lost track of what it was. So if you got to see that, I hate you.
Because everybody gave Lucas a lot of crap for the special editions.
Yeah.
But he said, and I know for a fact that he said it, like it was in an interview that I saw, the films were unfinished because he didn't have the technology.
Yep.
So why not finish them and make them as the best you can? Like, I never had a problem with the special editions one.
I don't have a problem with them, but I wish they would respecial them because some of the stuff does not mix like it should. And also, there's this one shot. I don't remember if it's in Return of the Jedi or if it's in A New Hope, but there's the guy who's singing at the bar, and he gets real close to the camera and goes, "Ah!"
That's Jedi.
It's
Jedi.
It's real bad. There's a lot of spit there on that uvula,
well, that was taking advantage of those characters, like, but nothing matches that Cantini bar scene in the original one.
No. Yeah, and I think they should update them again to try to make those effects fit with the film. Do all the same shots so it's George Lucas's vision, but with what we can do with VFX now to make it mesh better. That's all I want, because the special editions are what I grew up with. So to me, it's not a problem.
See, I grew up with the original ones.
I know, you're so lucky. You're old, and so sorry.
It's just like everybody finds it hard to believe. Like that was mind blowing when I was 7 years old and that original one came out, and even. Like the next phase of that was when Tron came out when I was 11 or 10, and I just
it's crazy that those are that close together. It's crazy that those are that close.
Like where filmmaking was going to go.
Yeah,
and that's probably between seeing that and Raiders of the Lost Ark and everything when I was a kid. Definitely made me want to be in that business in some capacity. Like, I know I suck as a filmmaker and I never want to do it, but I'm good at running a theater and doing the exhibitor side and watching and seeing what bad stuff people put out. Eli Roth, you hack.
Borderlands bad. Anyway,
it's $4.99 on Apple right now.
Wow, what a ripoff! They should drop that down to they'll pay you to take it. Get it off our servers, please.
It's free.
Empire Strikes Back was the first one I saw, and that whole opening scene on Hoth is where I fell in love with movies originally, and then Spider-Man 2 was what made me want to be an actor. And because I wanted to be Spider-Man,
right?
And that, those Empire Strikes Back being as incredible as it was for the time it was made into, and still the original effects still hold up for those. So incredible.
And I just remember Christmas that year was like my ultimate geek dream because it's Empire Strikes Back came out for that Christmas, and The Black Hole that Disney put out too.
Oh yeah.
And I was just going back and forth between those two movies that holiday season, because I still like The Black Hole.
It's one of those ones I never have even heard of before I met you.
Yeah, it's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in Space.
Yeah, that sounds so cool.
It is.
I need to see that.
And it's got a really good cast. It's got Robert Forster, Anthony Perkins, Yvette Milieu, I think is how you pronounce her name.
It's either Milieu or Mie. I can never remember.
And Maximilian Schell is the bad guy in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I know there was talk of the guy that made F1 and
Joseph Kosinski.
Joseph Kosinski.
Something like that.
He was supposed to be on board to do a remake of that for Disney after Tron Legacy. But the problem is, I think Tron Legacy fell really flat and didn't do that well, that Disney canned the project. And I was like, morons. You can update that story and still make it viable.
Yeah.
And I think people would still go see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is there's 7 stories you can tell in humanity. That's all we got, really, if you break it down. So it's a workable framework,
right?
And doing that in space, we're totally in the because right now you want to get people in the theater, throw in an Elon Musk character, have him get sucked out into space. Everyone will be fine with it. We'll all laugh and go ha ha
in one of his trucks.
Yeah.
I'll watch that.
A Cybertruck getting spaghettified. Yeah, people would love that. Pixar is going to be releasing Elio soon, but the next movie that they've got on the docket is called Gato. And it is
I did see that.
It's a film about a cat from the guy who made Luca.
And I really liked Luca.
I didn't care for it.
See, I loved it.
I just thought it was nothing.
Really?
I maybe I'm wrong about it. I don't know, but it just when I watched it, I was just like, this is kind of nothing, and it's really short, and it's just kind of like whatever.
I guess because the little girl and all her Santa Maria like saying, I thought was really cute. Maybe
it's because I'm not Italian enough.
Maybe. And the whole thing about being accepting of different people and cultures, and even if they're monsters, like that really, appealed to me. I liked it.
We're okay with Germans now.
My wife's German. Be careful.
Whoops, sorry, Jessica.
Yeah.
I'll just cut that out. No, I'm not going to do it.
But
I refuse to edit, Andy.
So I guess it's going to be more of a Spanish flair since it's called Gato.
Yeah, so basically, here's a description. It says, after years of maneuvering the seaside, an extraordinary city, a black cat named Nero begins questioning whether he's lived the right life. A partial music lover, at least his tail is, and non-swimming feline who is indebted to a local feline mob boss, Nero finds himself in a quandary and is forced to forge a truly unexpected friendship with Maya, a street artist who adopts him against his will, as all cats are acquired.
So that makes sense, too, that he's Italian and there's mafia associations in there. So
yeah. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, but I did like Luca, so I'm curious to see how that comes out.
I didn't hate it, I just didn't care.
Elio, I have no faith in.
I haven't heard anyone say they're excited about that movie at all. I have no idea what it's about still, and I've seen the trailer.
It's about a little boy that wants to be abducted by aliens, and when he finally does, the aliens like him and think he's the leader of Earth.
And he's going down into their toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I
have some homework for you.
Is this another
No, this is not a Little Italy challenge.
Yeah, okay.
This is a movie that apparently is surprisingly good called Deep Cover. It stars Bryce Dallas Howard and Orlando Bloom and one of the guys from Ted Lasso. And apparently people have been saying it's surprisingly good.
I thought you were going to say the Larry Fishburne Deep Cover because I've seen that.
No. I have no idea what that is, so I couldn't even do that.
Bill Duke directed it. Larry Fishburne and
that's a good name, Bill Duke.
Yeah, he was the guy in the original Predator.
Oh right, yeah,
the ball guy.
Yeah.
So he directed a couple of films. Raging Harlem was like really big for him, and it's a great movie.
Okay.
But Deep Cover was the other one that he did that didn't get so much of a recognition. But Jeff Goldblum's in that too, and it's really good about an undercover cop that works for the government to be a drug dealer to, go after the bigger fish. Mm-hmm. And it all kind of backfires. And
wait, you're telling me going undercover can backfire?
Yeah.
I need to change a lot of things about my life.
And and I think just because it doesn't turn out the way people want it to, that's probably why people didn't really care for it so much.
Oh, no. Did the movie have too sad an ending for your big baby?
No, it's not a sad ending. I thought it was realistic.
Well, that's what I mean, is anything that's not super happy. People are like, it's too sad. I'm like, that's just life, man. Deal with it.
Yeah. Okay. Is this coming out or is this on streaming?
I believe it's on streaming. So it's is it an Amazon movie? Oh, boy.
I have Amazon, so lucky me.
It's Prime. It's on Prime Video, and it came out 3 days ago. So I thought it might be another good internet movie of the week to kind of look at some point. So,
yeah, will it take you a month to watch that one too?
Yeah, probably. I haven't seen Orlando Bloom in anything in a while, and I like Bryce Dallas Howard most of the time as an actress. So,
well, now that Orlando Bloom has gotten to his senses and is divorcing Katy Perry, or at least that's the.
Were they married?
Well, I guess there were a couple, or I thought they were married, but
I don't know.
Is this in time for him to do another Pirates of the Caribbean film?
Oh, so they're not married, but they were together. Or are together since 2016.
She's nuts.
Did you see the clip of one of her shows where she's dancing alongside a big poo standing up from a toilet?
No.
I did. Couldn't believe it was a real thing.
I didn't
thought maybe it was an AI generated joke or something. No, that was actual footage from an actual Katy Perry concert. And I'm just like, why would you want to associate your image as the princess of pop with literal poop?
I didn't see her movie either.
She was in a movie?
Well, no, there was the concert film that she did.
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even like her music.
Yeah, I don't either. One of the girls that used to work at a theater that I ran, She was on Warped Tour of all things in one year. And a lot of the artists that are on Warped Tour will go to the merch booth and sign just about anything you want because that's, a good way to build a fan base and everything.
Yeah.
She refused to sign. She didn't want her picture taken. And she ended up photobombing a picture with Katy Perry. It was kind of funny.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, Katy Perry is a weirdo. I'm sorry, but she is. Okay, so Toy Story 5. So this is happening. Apparently, it has been... They've showed a sneak peek of some stuff at the Annecy International Animation Festival.
Okay.
Or Annecy. I have no idea how it's pronounced. But the scene involved a container full of Buzz Lightyears as they awaken on an isolated desert island and struggle to establish a connection with Star Command. So, per the Hollywood Reporter, Pete Docter, who is the chief executive officer or creative officer at Pixar, he said, Toy Story 5 will explore the challenges faced by the toys in a digital-first world. It's toy meets tech, he said, outlining the film's plot, which will see the original movie's team of toys facing up to the challenge presented by new... I'm so sorry, I'm butchering reading this. This is hard to listen to, isn't it? Facing up to the challenge presented by the new favorite plaything of their 8-year-old owner, Bonnie Anderson, a tech tablet called LilyPad. Woody, Buzz, and the rest of the gang will confront a new generation of children more enamored with screens than playthings. So that sounds boring.
Yeah, next.
Keira Knightley said she was viewed as a terrible actress because of Pirates of the Caribbean, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't either.
She was fine in those movies.
She did enough films outside of that.
Yeah, she did one called Seeking a Friend for the End of the World where she has a fling with Steve Carell.
I saw that.
It was all right. It
not one of the better
great,
ones.
But she was still good in it. She can act.
Like the ones that stand, Bend It Like Beckham, definitely great film.
I have never seen that.
Yeah,
I just care about football. Football.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, cool.
The whole thing is about families. More about soccer is kind of secondary in that.
Got it.
And
then I might watch it because I don't care about that communist game. I'm just kidding. I know it's not.
It's an Indian girl trying to gain acceptance into her family.
Okay.
And it's more about that than it is about soccer.
Then why is Beckham in the title?
Well, because Beckham is the person that you aspire to be in soccer.
Oh, okay. Got it. Makes sense.
But that's a good one. Yeah, I thought that was... I couldn't tell if it was fake or real.
No, Spaceballs 2 is happening. I believe Josh Gad is writing the script.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But Bill Pullman's coming back. Rick Moranis is coming back.
Out of retirement.
Right, crazy.
And 99-year-old Mel Brooks is coming back.
He's going to play yogurt.
And he won't need any makeup.
No. I mean, maybe some bronzer, but that's about it. Keke Palmer's going to be in it, and now Lewis Pullman is in talks to join with Bill Pullman, who recently played Sentry in Thunderbolts. Yeah. The Hollywood Reporter reports that Lewis Pullman is in talks to join Bill Pullman in the upcoming Spaceballs sequel. He will play the son of Queen Vespa and Lone Star, who is named Starburst. So that's what's happening there.
Is it going to go with the original title? Well, with any luck, we'll all be in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
I hope they do.
Remember that
Yes,
joke?
I remember that joke.
they should. If Josh Gad saw the original one and had any appreciation for it, and you better do that.
Yeah.
That's really the title you should go with.
You don't have to advertise it as that. You could just call it Spaceballs 2, but then when the movie starts running and you do the crawling text as a joke, it needs to say Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, and put it in there. If you don't, shame on you.
And then I know Rob Reiner right now is doing a lot of press for the re-release of This Is Spinal Tap in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I need to see that.
And then, I have it. It's one of my favorites. I saw that 4 times in a theater when I was 13 years old, against my parents' wishes.
Do you ever wonder what we could have done with our lives if we didn't spend all our time rewatching movies we love?
I wouldn't be manager of a theater, which I love.
I know, but would we have cured cancer or something?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
We're not smart enough.
No.
And I'm looking right now, it's on my sheet to book the second one for fall.
Sweet. Yep.
Because Bleecker Street will give a movie to any theater that asks, and I'm asking.
And I respect the heck out of that.
Thank you.
You know what's great about watching a movie in the theaters? There's no ads in the middle of the presentation. You know,
like Cinemark.
You have some ads at the beginning, Sure, that's going to happen. We got to pay the bills somehow. The lights got to stay on, right?
Right.
But once the movie starts, you're never going to be in the middle of a scene and then have a person who put a bad chapter marker in the middle of a sentence interrupt it with, "Have you ever wiped your butt with Cottonelle? We hope you do." But Prime Video has doubled the amounts of ads that you see while streaming recently. And Joe Blow is asking the question, have we just reinvented network television? The answer, of course, is no. Network television was cheaper than having every streaming service. It'll cost you $200 to have everything now a month. It's insane. And the content is worse. And I'm saying that as someone who grew up with 19 kids and counting on the TV. All right, so like the bar was low.
Now we're on to 90 Day Fiance.
It's probably kind of fun to watch though. But,
not gonna lie, it is. It's a train wreck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But train wrecks are the thing you can't look away from. You know,
that's can't why look away from that show. I can attest to that.
Does that man ever develop a neck? Did he ever have one in the beginning? Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, Big Ed?
Yeah.
I always equate him from the Uncle Chet from Weird Science that turns into that blob.
I haven't seen Weird Science. I know. I know.
It's another good John Hughes film.
Okay, name some other John Hughes films real quick. Because, Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Ferris Bueller. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Okay, I like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, but the Ferris Bueller, Breakfast Club,
Pretty in Pink,
those two, especially, everyone just completely loses their minds over how wonderful those movies are. I thought they were both boring.
Yeah, I really like them.
I didn't like them at all, and I think maybe it's just
still
because
like them.
I just was like, none of you guys are likable. You all kind of suck as people, so I don't care about you.
No, Breakfast Club to me, like especially when it came out, I knew every kind of person that they were trying to represent in that film. And I think that's why it was very easy for me to grasp onto that when I was a teenager. And I still love that film.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the fact that every couple of years I hear about them remaking that. And I'm like, no, it does not need to be redone.
Yeah. And I want to be clear. I don't think they're bad movies. I just don't care for them.
Okay.
Like it's a personal taste thing. It has nothing to do with the quality of them. I understand that they're well written and all that stuff. It just doesn't resonate with me for whatever reason. And Ferris Bueller I don't get it. I just don't get why people love it so much.
Seriously, what high school kid doesn't want to just take a day off and do whatever he wants?
Me, I wanted to get good grades.
I did too, but I wanted to take a day off and go do whatever I wanted.
When I wanted to take a day off, I wanted to go do nothing. I didn't want to jump up on a parade float and make a fool out of myself or get kicked out of a restaurant.
All of that is kind of funny to me. I like it.
Well, what I'm trying to get across is that I know I'm boring.
Well, so am I. So that's why I'm here with you every week.
It's painful, but I'll take it.
And for GeForce 2.
Yes. I'm
the
glad
search
you said
for more
something.
durables.
Very good. Very good. I had forgotten it, so if you hadn't brought it up, I wouldn't have, but I love that I've Pavloved you into having to think about it every week.
You're welcome.
When asked about the increased ad load in Amazon ad spokesperson, I went to New Jersey for a second. Spokesperson said, "Our commitment is to improving ad experiences rather than simply increasing the number of ads shown. While demand continues to grow, our commitment is to improving ad experiences rather than simply increasing the number of ads shown." They said the same thing twice. I'm reading the article verbatim that they said the same thing twice.
Did the copy person actually read that before giving it to the person to say?
I don't think it was the copy person. I think it was the copy paste person.
Ooh, yeah. Not good.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, they basically, when Amazon first rolled out ads on Prime Video in January of 2024, they said it would be a relatively light ad experience, just 2 to 3.5 minutes per hour. Less than a year and a half later, that number has already doubled. So you're getting, up to 6 minutes of.
I'm waiting for Cinemark to start doing it.
I'll kill him. I'll go burn down every Cinemark. Allegedly, I'll burn down every Cinemark because you do not interrupt the flow. Do you know how hard it is to get the pacing of a film right? And then you interrupt it with, "Have you wiped your butt with Cottonelle?" It makes me so angry. It's like, you're in the middle of this intense scene where someone's pouring out their heart, and then it's like, "Do you have erectile dysfunction? We can fix that for you." Makes me so mad.
It's funny too that was the big hot topic at CinemaCon, and what Cinema United brought up in the head of Michael, the head of that organization, saying that in your ad pack should not be ads. But meanwhile, seeing Phoenician Scheme last night, you saw a couple of trailers. Then there was a Coke ad, a car ad, and then the Cinemark Club, or the savings thing or whatever. Yeah. And then seeing Megan 2.0 in XD. And then there was another trailer, and then there was the film. And I was like,
no.
I thought the whole I guess the guys from Cinemark, did you not go to CinemaCon and listen? Because I was cheering louder than anybody when they were saying stuff like that. And I was like, come to Grand Avenue. Yes, I don't do this.
Yeah, and I think it's like it's not just annoying, it's like disruptive to the feeling of being in a theater.
And it makes your ad pack a half hour long that people don't like that.
I get that the idea is like we increase the view count for the ad by making it mixed in with the trailers, which means people have to get there early if they want to see the trailers, which means they will see your ad. I understand
unless
the
you get cussed out for not playing a trailer.
Right. That's your life is so weird.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is sitting down and watching the ads, if I'm there early enough to, get in my seat and get comfortable and order food and all that stuff, I'm fine with the ads there. But then you transition into the trailers, which gets me excited emotionally for the experience of coming to see a movie. And then the lights go down and you're so far disconnected at that point from the ads that you're in the mood for the movie.
Right.
But if you break into the movie in a big screen format to show an ad, I swear I will poop in the theater on purpose. I will drop my dax and drop a deuce afterwards just to show my disapproval, because how dare you take all of the literal years of work that have gone into making that movie's pacing right and interrupt it with something that says, if you have headaches, spread this on your forehead.
Or is that going to be the new upcharge? Will you get it with or without commercials?
Well, that's what Amazon Prime is doing now. You can still get a commercial-free thing, but you got to pay extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather pay extra.
If they do that in the theater, I'm going to start pirating. I'm going to start, because how dare you? I
hope
you have
it
no
doesn't.
respect for
I
me.
really hope it doesn't come to that. I don't.
I
I can tell you one theater where it won't, and that's here.
Yeah, and I
won't do it.
I won't kiss you on the mouth, Andy, but I do want you to know I feel that level of love for you when you say things like this. And so because I love you, I won't kiss you on the mouth.
Thank you.
All right, well, that got weird. Should I cut it?
Just like
nah.
GeForce 2, the search for more gerbils.
Search for more gerbils. GeForce 3, hamstering it up. Oh, goodness. All right. You have any other news?
No, I think I'm done for this week.
I think I'm done too, which means there's really... Oh, well, first we should say you can find us on Grand Avenue Theater, at the Grand Reviews social media.
Grand Avenue Theater.
They won't post us. We're not important enough. At Grand Review Pod on Facebook and Instagram, and then also you can vote if you're listening on Spotify. Good, bad, great, or terrible. What did you think of How to Train Your Dragon?
How to Train Your Dragon, or if you saw Life of Chuck, or if you saw the Phoenician Scheme. Let us know what you thought about that too.
And definitely, if you want to be up to date with us, watch Predator: Killer of Killers on Hulu or Disney Plus, whatever it's on,
Hulu.
Disney Plus with Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah, so Hulu's the main distributor. Check that out, and then we'll be talking about that next week. Andy is very, very excited for me to see it, and I am too. So, looking forward to talking about that.
Cool.
But until then, we hope you have a blessed week, and
we do.
That means there's really only one thing left to say, and that is,
we'll see you at the movies.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.